الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب يسر ولا تعسر وكمل بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم الأمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jazakumullah for making time, coming and participating in this gathering. I know it's not that easy, especially during weekdays. We all are tired, we all are exhausted. So what I will do, inshallah, I will try to keep it as short as I can. The series is going to last for 4 or 5 weeks, inshallah. But the time is going back. So inshallah, next week we will have more time. And then the week after that we will have more time. So inshallah, I will try to keep it as short and as simple as I can today. Again, the topic that we want to discuss is about Karbala and the incident of Karbala. It's not a very simple topic. It's a very long topic. So inshallah, before I begin, and I will begin immediately, there are 3 disclaimers that I want to give. First of them, I have already mentioned on the occasion of Jummah that the purpose of this talk is not to raise any kind of emotions against anyone. Yeah, we may have difference of opinion with other school of thought and how they look at this incident and how we view this incident, but at the same time, this difference of opinion should not lead us to any kind of violence and hatred or anger against anyone. As a matter of fact, it's such a coincidence that somebody shared a video with me today, and it was Maulana Tariq Jamil. Those of you who know who are from Pakistan, probably you've heard his name, one of the most prominent scholars in Pakistan. And he was talking about that thing that, differences of opinion exist, and they will always exist. But never allow those differences of opinion to become a reason of hatred or anger or violence against each other. Stick to your opinion or stick to your school of thought if you want to, but become a part of the Ummah and be an Ummah. And this is what I believe, that in this dunya, I believe that in this world we have Sunnis and Shias, even though they have their differences of opinion with regards to their theology. But at the same time, I think in this dunya, in our social causes, in the causes that are similar between us and them, we are concerned about our children, they are concerned about their children. So the causes that are similar between us and them, we should support each other in that, we should help each other in that. And inshallah, on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will decide our affairs. The purpose of this talk is not to raise any emotions against anyone. The purpose of this talk is to educate ourselves and to talk about a little bit about what Sunnis believe about the incident of Karbala and how they view the incident of Karbala. The second thing is the incident of Karbala it's a very long topic, and it's a very important topic in our history. And history, those of you who are from academia, and mashallah, you are more knowledgeable than I am, so you should probably know that in history by nature is subjective. There are always motives, there are always things that have been read in, and in this short series, in which I only have 4 weeks, it's almost impossible for me to do a detailed analysis of the incident of Karbala and mention different variations of history. Those of you who have attended my Seerah class, I used to do that in my Seerah class. What books X said as compared to book Y, why did book X say this, why did book Y say this, what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths of each book and each interpretation. But it's only one series. We can do 10 series on the incident of Karbala, but it's a very small series that we are going to do. So I will not be mentioning different variations of history. I will try to mention my sources as much as I can, but inshallah we will just look at one interpretation. Only one interpretation, and I have to clarify this. This interpretation is the mainstream interpretation according to the Sunnis, and it is taken from Ibn Hajar, Ibn Kathir rahmatullah alayh, and some other Sunni famous historians. The third disclaimer that I want to share with you is that the other version of the incident of Karbala, which is very popular among the Shias, that version, or most of the information of that version, is taken from one person, and that person is a very early famous Muslim historian. His name is Abu Mikhnaf Lut ibn Yahya. He acknowledged himself, he regarded himself as a Shia, and he's the first Muslim historian who wrote a booklet about the incident of Karbala, and he called that booklet Maqtali Hussein. It's still available in the market. It's called Maqtali Hussein, and that booklet became a standard for the Shias about a lot of details and the incidents that they believe took place in the incident of Karbala. Whether we agree with that or not, whether what's our view about this book, about this booklet, We are not going to go into that. Like I said before, the purpose of this talk is to understand the Sunni's view about the incident of Karbala, and it's going to be just one interpretation. So with these three things in mind, inshallah, we will begin. And we will begin by understanding how we look at the Ahlul Bayt, at the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they firmly believe that the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have a very high rank, and they are the most blessed family in all of the families. And we Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we love the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We love Ahlul Bayt with genuine love, but we love them between two extremes. And that's important to understand. We love the family of Rasulullah, but between two extremes. On one hand, we have a group that existed in the past and that still exists in today's age and time, and they considered the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam just like any other family. Actually, they hated the family of Rasulullah. They cursed them. They said things against the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was the trend that existed in the past, and there are still people who believe in that trend. So on one hand, we have people like them. On another hand, we have another trend that believe that the family of Rasulullah, Ahlul Bayt, is above and beyond any other family in a very supernatural sense. In a very... So they believe they believe that the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or Ahlul Bayt, they are above and beyond this group. They believe that the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is above and beyond any other family in a very supernatural sense. What I mean by that is that they give them some powers, some privileges, they give them some attributes that we, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, believe that only belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is another group, this is another extreme. So we love the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in between these two extremes, meaning that they are the most respected family in the entire world if they are righteous. If they are righteous. The believers among Ahlul Bayt, they have the double blessing. One is that they are the believers, and second is that they are from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Sahaba among Ahlul Bayt, they have the triple blessings. It's like Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, they are the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are the believers, and they are also from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we love them with a love that is triple, by the way. We love them with that kind of a love, and we affirm all the blessings that are mentioned in the Quran and in Sunnah with regards to the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to purify you, O Ahlul Bayt, O the family of Rasulullah, from any filth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give you a good cleansing. So this is about them in the Quran. As far as the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam concerned, we firmly believe in the hadith in which Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam called Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Hasan and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, and he put all of them under his cloak. This hadith is called Hadithul Kisa. It is mentioned in our sources, and we firmly believe in this hadith that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam called all of these people. He put them under his cloak, and he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, Ya Allah, this is my family. This hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We also believe and affirm that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith of Sahih Muslim, he reminded all the Sahabas, and he reminded the people who came after Sahaba that أُذَكِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَهْلِ بَيْتِي, that I, by the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I ask you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remember the rights of my family. And he said it 3 times in the hadith of Sahih Muslim. So we affirm this hadith and believe in that hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that's why we love the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the love that is above and beyond that we have for any other family. Also, I have to mention here that Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, in a book called Nafhatul Arab, the story is mentioned that Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu said to Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu that I would rather be more generous and more kind to Ahlul Bayt, to the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, than to my own family. And this is Abu Bakr saying to Umar Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And then with regards to Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, in the books of history you will find that when he wrote down the Waween was the register, or was the schedule that which person will get how much from Baytul Mal. So this was more like a stipend. This was a schedule for the stipends. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he wrote it down, the number one category and the most amount of money was given to Ahlul Bayt, to the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They actually got more than he himself got as a salary. So this shows the love that Sahaba had for Ahlul Bayt, for the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu loved the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam so much that he wanted to establish a kinship with them. So he proposed to the daughter of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and then he married the daughter of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Kulthum bint Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha. And there was no animosity between Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. If Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu is proposing, and Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu is accepting the proposal of his daughter's marriage to Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. One of the reasons, by the way, that he gave to Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu is that I want to establish my kinship, my relationship with the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am the companion of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but still I want to establish kinship and relationship with the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this basically shows that we love the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with genuine love, and this has been the position of all the Sunni scholars. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayh, he said, min usuli ahli sunnah, of the fundamentals of the people of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah is to love the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is one of the fundamentals. This is one of the things that we follow in our religion, in our madhab. But having said that, there is one thing that I like all of us to keep in our mind, and that is that if someone is not righteous and if someone is sinful, then it doesn't matter what his bloodline is, because his sins are one thing and his bloodline is another thing. And if someone is committing a sin, then his bloodline will never be able to save him from the consequences of his sins. And I'm saying this on the hadith, based on the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in Jami' al-Tirmidhi. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man abta' bihi amaluhu lam yusri'uhu nasabahu." That whosoever's deeds pull him back, his bloodline, his family cannot push him forward. Whoever deeds pull him back, his bloodline cannot push him forward. So just because someone is from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it doesn't mean that they are angel. It is possible that some of the people from Ahlul Bayt, they will commit sins, and those who commit sins, they will be responsible before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this has been the case historically speaking. To this day, there are some lineages, there are some people who claim to be from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and some of those claims are valid. But then you see time and time again that some of those people, they have good deeds, mashallah, but they also commit sins. They can be like any other Muslims. So if they are righteous, then we love them with the double love, because they are believers and they are from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If they are anything other than that, then we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will decide their affairs on the day of judgment. So this is our belief with regards to the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another important thing that you all need to understand, I was just asking this question before I came. In my house, I was asking this question. I said, do you know about who Ahlul Bayt is? I've spoken about Ahlul Bayt and what we believe about Ahlul Bayt. But do we really know who Ahlul Bayt? Who are the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? I asked this question, and the answer that I was given was not satisfactory. The answer was that Ahlul Bayt is, in Urdu we say Panch and Pak. Those 5 people. You know, Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Hassan and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala, 5 people, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these 5 people that are mentioned in Hadith al-Kisab. But we Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, there's a difference of opinion by the way here. We Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Shi'as, they primarily concentrate on these 5 people. And they say these are the Ahlul Bayt. What we believe is that we say that for sure these 5 people are from Ahlul Bayt. They are the core of Ahlul Bayt, but there are some other branches of Ahlul Bayt. No. There are some other definitions of Ahlul Bayt, and we say that first and foremost, the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are equally Ahlul Bayt. And our dalil is a very strong dalil. Our evidence is a very strong evidence, and it comes from the Quran. So in the Quran, the word Ahlul Bayt is only mentioned 3 times. Yeah. How many times? Now I need your attention. 3 times. It's important because we talk about the privileges and virtues are something that we just listen to, and we don't need to remember them. We should remember them. Well, it's not something that we keep in our mind all the time. But these things I hope that you will understand and you will keep with you all the time. The word Ahlul Bayt is mentioned in Quran 3 times. The first time it's mentioned in the Quran is in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. when the angels came to give glad tidings to Sarah alayhi salam, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, about the child, that she is going to have a child. And she has reached an old age at that time. So when they gave her that glad tidings, that good news, she wasn't ready to accept it, mentally speaking. She wasn't ready or willing to accept it. And she was surprised to hear that. So they said, that's mentioned in the Quran, they said in Surah Al-Hud, قالوا أتعجبين من أمر الله ورحمة الله وبركاته عليكم أهل البيت. The angel said to Sarah alayhi salatu wasalam, are you surprised about this matter? Are you surprised about this command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though the rahmat of Allah and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have always been upon you, O Ahlul Bayt. Now the angels are addressing whom? Sarah alayhi salam. And Sarah alayhi salam is the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Other incident in the Quran which is mentioned about Ahlul Bayt, where the word Ahlul Bayt is mentioned, is the story is in Surah Al-Saba, in the story of Musa alayhi salam. When Musa alayhi salam as a baby reached the palace of Fir'aun, at that time when they were trying to give feed, because he was a baby, and they were trying different women to nourish that child, he wasn't ready to accept any woman. He wasn't accepting any woman. He as a baby wasn't accepting any woman. And his sister, who was keeping an eye on him throughout, just to make sure that he's safe, she went ahead and she said to the wife of Fir'aun, هل أدلكم على أهل بيت يكفلونه لكم وهم له ناصحون. That هل أدلكم على أهل بيت. That's the second time. That should I guide you, O Ahlul Bayt. Now she's addressing whom? The wife of Fir'aun. So she is referring to Ahlul Bayt. She's saying Ahlul Bayt, and she is using this word for the wife of Fir'aun. So she said, should I guide you, O Ahlul Bayt, should I guide you towards a woman who he will accept or who can help her? And obviously she's talking about the mother of Musa. But again in this passage, she uses the word Ahlul Bayt for the wife of Fir'aun. And the final occasion, which is the passage about the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving different instructions to the wife of Rasulullah in Surah Al-Ahzab. And in this occasion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them that you should not be following the footsteps of the people of the Jahiliyyah, of the women of the Jahiliyyah of the time of ignorance, and you should establish zakah, you should establish salah, you should give zakat, and you should follow Allah and His Rasul. And then finally, after giving these instructions, Allah says, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ. Allah is ordering you and instructing you to do all of these things because Allah wants to take everything and every filth away from you, O Ahlul Bayt. Again, in this passage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam by saying Ahlul Bayt. So there are these three occasions where the word Ahlul Bayt is used in the Quran, and in all these three occasions, the wives are mentioned, the wives are referring to through this title, Ahlul Bayt. So that's why we say the word Ahlul Bayt in and of itself is a big dalil, it's a big evidence that the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are also part of Ahlul Bayt. Yes, Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Hassan and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, they are the core of Ahlul Bayt, but wives are also part of Ahlul Bayt. Moreover, we believe that Aqil radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the cousin of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Ja'far radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the brother of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, their descendants are also Ahlul Bayt. Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his descendants are also Ahlul Bayt. So we are not allowed to give zakah or charity to all of these people out of respect that we have for them. So we are not allowed to give zakah to the descendant of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, and also Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Ja'far radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Aqil radiallahu ta'ala anhu. We are not allowed to give because all of them for us, they are Ahlul Bayt, whereas they do not believe that Ahlul Abbas, the family of Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu and others are from Ahlul Bayt. There is a kind of a tussle between Ahlul Ali and Ahlul Abbas, historically speaking, so they don't consider them Ahlul Bayt, but for us they all are Ahlul Bayt. Now Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, very quickly, just 2-3 minutes, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who is the subject of our series, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu was born in the 4th Hijrah in the month of Sha'ban. Less than a year after the birth of Hassan radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Hassan radiallahu ta'ala anhu was born in the 3rd year of Hijrah in the month of Ramadan. So Hassan radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, they are less than a year apart. And with regards to both of them, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said many hadith. One of the hadith that is the most popular and the most famous, which we all know, in which Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Sayyida Shibabi Ahl Jannah, that Hassan and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, they are the leaders of the young men of Jannah. In another hadith, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam hugged both of them upon one occasion. He hugged Hassan and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he said, Rahmatiyya fi dunya. He said, these two kids, Hassan and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, they are my fragrance of this world. They are my flowers of this world. They are blessed, they are sweet, and they are the two greatest blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me in this world. So we affirm everything about Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Hassan radiallahu ta'ala anhu that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu was born in Medina, and he stayed in Medina until his father Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu became Khalifa. When he became Khalifa, he moved to Kufa. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu moved to Kufa. When he moved to Kufa, obviously Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu also moved to Kufa. In Kufa, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu witnesses two battles, Safin and Jamal, with his brother Hassan radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He stayed in Kufa until the assassination of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. After the assassination of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the people of Kufa gave oath of allegiance to Hassan radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and the people of Syria gave oath of allegiance to Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. It was the first time in the history of Muslims there were two Khalifas at the same time, and they both were about to go on war against each other. Hassan radiallahu ta'ala anhu immediately resigned. 6 months in his Khilafah, and he resigned because he didn't want to see any further bloodshed. He didn't want any further bloodshed, so he resigned. After his resignation, the Ahlul Bayt, the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, again they moved to Medina. Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu moved to Medina. He lived in Medina until Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu passed away in the 60th Hijrah. He passed away and Yazid came into power. When Yazid came into power, again Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu left Medina. We'll talk about the reasons of him leaving Medina when we'll talk about it then, inshallah, in the next session, when we'll talk about Yazid and how he came into power. We'll talk about that in the next session. But Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, there is no doubt in his lifetime and after, he was respected by all the Sahabas, by all the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Please try to remember this name. We'll talk about this person also in the future lectures. Abdullah bin Amr ibn As radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said about Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was sitting in the shadow of Kaaba, and he saw Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu coming, and he looked at Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he said to his companion that this person is the most beloved person on this earth to the inhabitants of Jannah. There is nobody more beloved to the people who are living up there in Jannah than this person, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And this is Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. I will tell you why this is so important, inshallah, in the next series, in the next lectures. This is Abdullah ibn Umar ibn As radiallahu ta'ala anhu saying about Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So in his lifetime, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu was respected by all the Sahabas, by all the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inshallah, in the next 3-4 series, we will cover the entire story. We'll talk about different aspects of the story. But I would request brothers kindly to come and participate. The sisters who have come and taken part, Jazakumullah for them as well. The idea is to make it a kind of a family event, that we don't only come in the masjid only on Fridays, but we make one more time. We fix one more day, make some extra time, come and participate in this gathering, and in this way, inshallah, we will come more and more closer to each other. We will increase our knowledge, and inshallah, we will be able to make this space a space in which our families are comfortable. Inshallah. So are you ready for this? Inshallah.